Be it AEW or WWE, I just appreciate all the good content that is being thrown into my face recently, especially when you look out the window. It is a little bit like, am I about to see a zombie just run at me and try to eat my brains? I mean, I went to a supermarket earlier and it wasn't that far off. Everybody just gotta calm down. But let's not worry about that. Let's take it and chuck it over there, because that's not what we're doing on YouTube. We're having a good time and we're trying to distract ourselves. And All Elite Wrestling's latest episode of Dynamite, it was fire. It was great. I don't mean to spoil the show before we get into it, but given that they didn't have one single solitary fan in the damn building, I'm giving them a Simon Miller round of applause. And who doesn't want a Simon Miller round of applause? My mum, when I try and give her a clap, she's like, Simon, I'm disappointed in you, but don't worry about that. Let's take the finger of power and give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down for last night. AEW Dynamite arrived. Right, things I thought I'd never say in 2020. Drew McIntyre is going to win the Royal Rumble and eliminate Brock Lesnar. We're going to see AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in an arena where there's going to be no damn fans. Jake Roberts is going to appear on American wrestling television. And of course, I would start to enjoy wrestling shows that didn't have any audience there. I can't help it, there's just something about them. And it's the last one that has got me the most, because this week's episode of Dynamite began with Cody in the ring, and he gave such a good and such an impassioned speech about the world coming together, and then effortlessly just tied that into the Elite and how they need to come together before they roll into blood and guts. It was absolutely fabu. I don't even know what fabu means. I guess it's just shortening of the word fabulous. What are we talking about? Giving it up. He wants Matt Jackson and Hangman Page to make up and focus on the greater good, and he's even willing to do that with Kenny Omega, because of course they've got a checkered past. And we also found out that Nick Jackson is not going to be involved in blood and guts because he is out indefinitely with an injury. So all our love to Nick Jackson. We hope he gets better soon. And Cody did a bit of talking, and Kenny Omega did a bit of talking, and Matt Jackson did a bit of talking. Just good. The only issue, of course, is the cowboy who came out here, stared at the remaining members of the Elite with his drink, obviously, and then left again because he just can't get his head in the right mental space, I suppose. So could he be the weak link? You just don't know, but that's the point. It's interesting. This, of course, was done in front of a grand total of 0 people, and while there is a little bit of a feel like it's amateur dramatics, I think they played off each other brilliantly, and again, it just made it unique, and they made it work. The novelty will die eventually, but it ain't happening now. You should go and watch this. And we even had pyro, more of that. Let's keep the shows as structured and as regimented as we possibly can. And Kenny Omega, he said, turn the lights and hit the big explosions. Made you feel good, made you feel happy, made you feel like nothing bad is going on out there. Transitioned into a video package focusing on the Death Triangle, and they're going to become one of the best trio teams in history. I can feel it in my bones. And then we had a little chat with MJF, who said he's not going to compete tonight, he doesn't need the money, and he'd rather try and keep his undefeated streak intact. And it turned out he's also going to gamble on tonight's matches alongside Shawn Spears. What a dick. Did make me laugh though. One of you should just go look at the booking sheet and you will definitely win. Right, okay, so the big debate since Raw is that can you have wrestling matches in an arena where there's no fans? And I think AEW proved pretty quickly that yes, you can. Because it was the Lucha Brothers going against the Best Friends, I had a rollicking good time. Give it up. AEW also had some of their roster members sitting in the crowd. I think we had the heels on one side and the good guys on the other side, and they kept shouting things, and they just made a little bit of an atmosphere. It was a little bit like if you went to some kind of, I don't know, underground fighting league, and someone's going, get him, Dave, smash him in the head, make him bleed. I mean, no one actually said that, but I enjoyed it. Once again, more of this. Otherwise, this was just fun. Trent and Phoenix just punched and slapped each other for a while until Orange Cassidy, who was on commentary by the way, but naturally said absolutely nothing, stood up. And when he did stand up, that distracted the Lucha Brothers, because of course that's how wrestling works. If anybody moves outside of the ring and you are having a match, it's like, what's going on? What's going on? And you get distracted, basically, the person doing it basically becomes a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for the Best Buddies, because Pentagon just used this to boot Trent right in the balls. He then got hit with the double stomp package power driver thing, and the Lucha Brothers, who of course are part of the Death Triangle, managed to get another victory. For some reason, the best friends then challenged Phoenix and Penta to a street fight next week, but it's not just going to be a street fight, they are going to have a fight in a parking lot. I mean, what are you thinking, guys? You just lost in the ring, and now you want to go and fight outside by some cars. But I will say this, I think that will rock. And look, I still can't keep up with the women's division. It is like you just pick names out of the hat and that's the match that we get. But everybody gets a free pass this week because who the hell knows what AEW's plans actually were. Obviously, this thing has arrived and just thrown everything out of whack. On top of that, Shida versus Statlander versus Penelope Ford versus Riho was just a good old fun match. Give it up. It seemed like the idea was to light a little bit of a fire underneath Penelope Ford because she was just flying around the place like she had nowhere else to go. She was also being assisted by Kip Sabian, who had come out to the ring. I mean, at one point, he was just grabbing her opponent's feet. That distracted them. He did get walloped at some point, but that's not the point. He was being an asshole. Ford also took a pretty damn nasty fall after launching herself at Chris Statlander, and that kind of gave me the fear, but also did potentially tie into the finish, because she got back in the ring, she'd hit her with a Shining Wizard, and I would assume from the damage on the outside, and the damage of being kneed right in the head, she got pinned, and Shida gets another win. I'm pretty sure she's ranked #1 now, so you know, Nyla Rose, she better be watching over her shoulder. Colt Cabana was also interviewed after this, and even that was entertaining. He was just talking about how he loves being here in AEW and he's going to go out there, have the best time of his life, until he got into it with Kip Sabian and he just pushed him right in the face at one point. But he was shouting stuff like, dude, you know I am a wrestler as well, and I will take Kip Sabian versus Colt Cabana. I think that will be a nice little program. On a quick side note though, I do want to bring up the subject of Jim Ross. I don't think we've ever addressed him directly here on Ups and Downs, at least for AEW Dynamite, but I'd like to do so right now. It's not up, it's not a down, it's just a small piece of advice. I do not think he's bad at his job as much as trolls online want to say that he is, and I enjoy hearing him on Dynamite because he was the voice of my childhood, and it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And if you can make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, yeah, get a couple of thumbs. But he has got to stop addressing all the negativity he is clearly getting on that there old Twitter. Because once again, he did reference how much Riho weighs, 98 pounds. Before that, by going, oh, that's right, I mentioned her weight, you people out there, I know you're going to come at me, blah, blah, blah. He didn't go on for that long, but he always has these little jibes on every single episode, every single week. Jim, just let him go. Haters gonna hate. You could go back to being the best you've ever been, and they'll still go, well, I didn't like the way he wore his hat. It was at 72 degrees, and I appreciate being at 94 degrees. Just push them aside, let them out of your brain. You are the man, you are a legend, and I love ya. Cut to a Jon Moxley interview where it was told to us that he's not allowed to be in the building because he's not medically cleared, to which Moxley replied, he was talking to Tony Schiavone, what does that even mean? I'm never medically cleared. I mean, that ain't true, John. If you're never medically cleared, they wouldn't let you have a wrestling match, and I've seen you have a lot. It doesn't matter because the point is he's always watching, especially when it comes to the Inner Circle. But for now, he's just going to go for a little drive, and he did get in the car that the Inner Circle had given to him, and he drove off. There you go. There's our AEW World Champion. I presume he was not driving to a hospital or, as WWE likes to say, a medical facility. Things then got really interesting because, as you know, if you have been watching Dynamite for a long time, the Butcher and the Blade were brought to AEW thanks to one Maxwell Jacob Friedman. They don't really have the best win-loss streak. They did win last week, but that was only because of MJF. That's not the point. But when they were fighting the Lucha Express here, well, not called that, are they? The Jurassic Express. I do that every week. Damn it. When they were fighting the Jurassic Express, things took an interesting turn, but it is getting it up. The match was fine again too, which once again proves that yes, you can do this kind of thing without fans. You've got to come up with a way to make it work. But I guess the ending I want to talk about, because the Butcher and the Blade were in control when MJF from the seat started to chant, hey, do your finisher, guys. Listen to me. Do your finisher. That kind of distracted the Butcher and the Blade. I'm not sure distraction would be the right word, but it did put them off their game. They turned into Luchasauruses and Jungle Boy's finish, and the Blade got pinned 1, 2, 3, so yes, they lost again. Now, I would admit that's a little bit strange, because when venues are packed out, you've probably got thousands of people shouting stuff at them, but here it only took one, and they lost their damn minds, although I do kind of understand. Like if you're playing a gig, and there's, I don't know, 7,200 people in a building, you're like, oh man, this is easy. But if you're on the same building and there's only 3, you're probably like, oh my gosh, kill me, this is too much. But yeah, this got to me, because maybe it's just an angle for this week, or maybe we're going to get some kind of dissension between the Butcher and the Blade and Maxwell, which leads to something else, leads to something new, or maybe presents this tag team in a different light. I don't know why it excited me so much. I just thought it was a small little spory seed planting thing that got into my brain. And then we did arrive. It was time to find out who the Dark Order's Exalted One was, and I realized I was damn excited, and I started asking all the questions. Is it going to be Matt Hardy? Is it going to be Vince McMahon? Is it going to be Jazz? You remember Jazz? It could be Jazz. You don't know. Who has a clue? Is it going to be your Auntie Jean, who you will then turn around and go, Auntie Jean, how could you not tell me you were the Exalted One of the Dark Order? You know how much I love wrestling. Our relationship is over. I am not buying you any more shortbread biscuits when it comes to Christmas. It wasn't Auntie Jean, but I loved all of this so much, it doesn't just get an up, it gets a golden up. Oh, you damn right, Stone Cold. Evil Uno and Grayson were out there and they were saying, look, he is here, it is the time, and they couldn't have been more excited. It was like they were staring right down the camera and saying, look, we're gonna level with you. It's our birthday, please don't ruin the moment. Clearly, Christopher Daniels and Kazarian didn't get that memo though, because they hopped over the guardrail, they got in the ring, and they looked at the Dark Order and said, come on, just give it up. There's no Exalted One. You two are a couple of liars. You're a couple of morons, and we are sick of it. Get out of here and start learning how to tell the truth. However, then they were interrupted by a very well put together and very well produced video package of a man in like a big white robe. And he started talking, and at first his voice was all like messed up and you couldn't understand, but eventually you heard the cadence and you could hear the accent. If you're anything like me, because you're a massive wrestling nerd, you're like, oh my gosh, that is Luke Harper's voice, now known as Brodie Lee. And that's right, not only is he in AEW, he is the Exalted One. He removed his hood and then had one of the best lines I've ever heard in my damn life when he addressed Christopher Daniels and said, Christopher, you won't be the first out of touch old man who didn't believe in me. And if you didn't get that reference, don't worry, I'm about to explain it. It was like a double entendre, meaning he's talking to Christopher Daniels, but he's also making a ha-ha jibe on Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who never thought Luke Harper would amount to anything. Wrong. But when he did unhood, which is not a word, I popped my socks off. I don't mean literally. I don't mean I bent down to my feet and just whipped off my socks. I meant I was cheering, I was having a good time, I was sat on my sofa, and I was like, this is the best. Brodie Lee is just so damn good. I've always thought this in WWE. Finally, he's allowed to get his time to shine. And the really cool thing is to think of the progression, think of the evolution. He was just a member of the Wyatt family, but in All Elite Wrestling, he is the leader of his own group. And why the hell was he never allowed to speak in WWE? This was a fire promo. The lights then went out, and when they came back on, Brodie was in the ring and he took Christopher Daniels' head off with a lariat. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it had rolled all the way down the road and we never saw Daniels' head again. This is the way that it should have been from day one, and I really do think that Brodie Lee is going to smash it in AEW. You can call me a fanboy, you can call me a nerd, you can call me a geek. He's just so good. Nobody has ever given him a due on a big stage, and this is it. 10 out of 10. Well, almost, because I am going to say the only thing that made me really sad in this instance was the lack of a crowd reaction. Because can you imagine? I was making noises like a wooden cat at home. If you were there and you were part, it would have been so good. And it did. After it was done, I got really just down. I was like, I hate this stupid disease thing that is ruining the world. And so we've got to come back at it. So we're going to take the finger, and that's going to get it down. I'm not going to get down to AEW or Brodie Lee. I'm giving down to the state of the world. It's not fair. This should have made me feel all goosey-boosey inside, and my goosey-boosiness was taken away. Yeah, down. Jake Roberts promo next, and we may get to a point where I don't give it an up or down. I just say the words Jake Roberts promo, and you go, oh, I'm sure it's the best thing I've ever heard in my life, because no one is able to sound as captivating while also giving the intent that they're going to come out and kill you as Jake Roberts. He was just talking about Cody and putting over Lance Archer and saying, Cody, look, we gave you some time and now you're ignoring us. Do so at your own peril. I am a Hall of Famer, and if you keep doing it, you will perish. The man can just talk for days. We also then cut to a hype video for Lance Archer, and I really dug this too, because it wasn't just like some highlight package of things he'd done in a wrestling ring. It was like a well-produced video where he was taking out some weird dudes in the middle of a field. I know that sounds strange, but it was great. Like, it really worked. At the end, he chokeslammed this other guy on a car. It made me believe in Lance Archer, and I already knew what he was done, but if you'd never heard of him, I think this would have made you gone, I should keep my eye on this guy. And then you stop doing that because eyes are sensitive. We also got a load of announcements for next week's show, but with the big caveat that it may not actually be happening in 7 days and will simply occur whenever the next AEW Dynamite is. I don't need to explain that to you, but fingers crossed. It was then our main event, and honestly, damn you life, damn you straight to hell. Do you not understand that I live for crowd pops, that crowd pops make the world go around? Clearly you don't, but we'll talk about that in a second. But given everything that AEW did, they are getting another up. It was the Inner Circle versus the Elite with Chris Jericho on commentary, and my word, the Formula Champion, well, he was just having the time of his life. He was having a hoot, because at one point he was putting over MJF. It's just an example of some of the stuff that he was doing, and then he couldn't remember what group he represented, but he turned it into a joke, and I was laughing my ass off. And the match was good, because the Elite were in control for a large portion, but the whole time you're like, well, are they going to be able to coexist? We know they've got problems, especially when it comes to Hangman Adam Page, or as he was known on this night, Hand Wash Adam Page. I love Dynamite, I don't care. Cody got cut off eventually, and he got beaten up for a long ass time until we beat to the hot tag, which of course was with the Cowboy. I call it a hot tag, I mean, there was no fans there. I was shouting, but I don't think that counts. AEW knows what they're doing though, because as soon as he was in there, Page started cleaning house, which made the narrative very, very simple. Even though he doesn't really get on with his partners, he's still he's still their ace in the hole, because he's just so damn good. We underlined this. There was always going to be shenanigans which did stop the Elite, and that's what happened here. At one point, Cody was just being held by Wardlow, which caused him to get beat up, and when Matt Jackson and Hangman Page were going for the Indie Taker, Hagar just grabbed the Cowboy, threw him on the floor. That allowed Santana to surprise roll up Matt Jackson for the 1-2-3, and of course I just hinted at it there. How did I not do it? What a fool. It wasn't just a surprise, but he used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, or here in AEW wrestling, the surprise roll-up, the surprise cradle. He got the 1-2-3, and now the Inner Circle have the advantage going into the blood and guts match. Somehow though, it was the fallout of all of this which made things even better. I mean, who saw that coming? Chris Jericho's on the microphone, and he started running down the Elite, and once again here, he was just absolutely hilarious, once again having the time of his life, before a drone started buzzing around the place. This all came off the fact that Jericho was gloating that the Inner Circle already had the upper hand going into the blood and guts match, because it was going to be 5-on-4, when Matt Jackson calmed everybody down. The drone landed in the ring, and he said, Chris, you think you're so big? You think you're so clever? I made a phone call, and now I have balanced out the odds. And at that point, we cut into the crowd, or the no crowd, we cut to the seats, and who was there? Stood there like an absolute loon. It was broken Matt Hardy. He started deleting the Inner Circle like his life depended on it, and I was losing my mind. Brodie Lee, Matt Hardy, what is going on? Jericho sold this like he had seen a ghost. I didn't see any of this coming. Before we even got here, before the damn match, Sammy Guevara was singing the lyrics to Judas, Chris Jericho's theme song, and that was funny. And when Chris Jericho was cutting his promo, he said, look, I have decided, as the man in AEW, that no longer are fans allowed to come to any of our events, which was a very inventive and very clever way to tie into this whole don't say the word thing. All of this was excellent. All of this was brilliant. It was a superb ending to what was actually a damn good AEW show. The only thing that made this so damn devastating is that, can you imagine the reaction Matt Hardy would have got if this place had been filled out with thousands of fans? I also apparently have glued my hands to my bald head, but we gotta do it. We gotta fight back when we can, so it gets another down, because I just need that in my life. People would have lost their minds and it got taken away from us. And also, think about this. I unglued my hands. Think about this. It was already pure fire. It was already brilliant. What levels would we have hit with that lovely wrestling reaction? I get so mad. But we have put the debate to bed at least. We are done with this argument. You absolutely can have a very good wrestling show without any fans. You just got to come up with ways and means to do it. And that ain't a knock on WWE. I think they did a good job with SmackDown. I think they did a good job with Raw. But this just felt far more structured, and of course didn't have an hour-long old match in the middle of it. But round of applause all round for everybody. We've had one, we're having another one. People are doing great right now, and you're providing me with the entertainment that I need, or at least I appreciate. There's my spinning arrow. Overall, it gets an up. You should go and watch this. or at the very least, go watch Brodie Lee and Matt Hardy. They are gonna be so good. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's AEW Dynamite. Like the video, share the video, hit the subscribe button. Come on, people, let's do it. Head over to WhatCulture.com to read yourself more articles about pro wrestling. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter and WhatCulture WWE to stay up to date about wrestling. And watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling's YouTube channel, where people will shout at you down a camera. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching. We're living in crazy times. Stay safe. If people could stop selling out all the eggs, because I eat a lot of eggs, and now I can't eat any eggs, I'd appreciate it. But more importantly, health to you all. I will see you soon.